day, this one is not going to be, this is challenging one today.
Okay.
Because it's long, and this happened immediately after, things, and they told me, take your sovereignty back and downloaded all this material. Is like 2 pages. Usually for half a page I talk a lot. Imagine this one. But this time, because it's important, we'll take our time. I'm not going to stop people. I want them to ask questions because I think it's been going on a lot. And I have people calling, complaining about different things that happen to them. So that will be something that maybe we should address. And then I had new predictions, which we can do next time. And another quantum, which you can do the next time. And then we can have a Q&A again. Maybe Q&A every third or second or fourth, so it doesn't get too much. And I think we should do one with the quantum bylaws. One step after the other, just as a reminder, because I can see it's getting accomplished, but at least I revamped the whole videos now. My husband helped me to revamp it, and I have to change the pictures of the second season and the name underneath, because I've noticed it's only quantum manifestation, but doesn't say what it talks about.
Right.
And usually you have to open it to see it. This way you're gonna see it just as look at it without opening that what is about, like 2 words or something, just to make sure. Hi everybody, thank you so much for coming. Big day today, so please give me a little bit of time, because I have 2 pages of quantum download for deceptions and lie. What's happening in the quantum structure, how we project in the reality. I think it's fundamental for us to understand this, because as you know, we create in the platforms of holographic expressions, and depending on how we co-creating what reacting is exactly what we going to perceive. Remember, the quantum structure is mirror image of your thoughts, emotions, and deeds. After today, the next time we're going to talk about new predictions came in, which will be in 2 weeks from now. Then after that is another quantum download. It's a little bit, but I can talk a lot about it, you know that. And then the next one is going to be, again, we're going to go through the bylaws, one step after the other, because it's getting too much of a material, and that one is going to be like a reminder. So that also is going to be very important webinar for you guys to be in person, because if you have questions, I will be able to redirect. I also want to apologize ahead of time if sometimes I have direct channeling. I do have direct channeling, so I may talk to you, but you don't even know that I'm listening, and sometimes I may interrupt, or I may say something that I don't want to come across as not being polite. Know that this is sometimes when it's direct channeling, I also project the way they say it. And if they want to teach us a structure, they will give you an example or say a sentence that may not be very okay with our part of understanding. But please understand that when I do stuff like this, things like this happen. So pull back a bit and understand that I'm doing my best to basically put it in a proper way for us to understand. And that is complex material. I get the images, I get the material sometimes at once, and I have to break it down for everybody to understand. So it takes a lot of work and concentration for me to do it. So I want to thank you again, Jopena, for being again with us permanently. And from now on, we're gonna do great videos and work together. And you're my rock. Thank you again. Now, last time the webinar for 7th webinar was only Q&A, and for some reason something happened in what was that, iCloud, Joe, and it was not recorded.
Yeah, it's not the iCloud, but it's the cloud that's provided by.
Oh yeah, did I say the cloud? Oh my God. Okay, but did not record it, so we apologize for that, but things like this happen, so we just move forward. So when I post the lies and manipulation, it will be the 7th video of a webinar, because the 7th, for example, disappears, so now we're making a new platform. Now, the manipulation and lies, why did this happen? I want to make an announcement also. All my material, original material, you can find only through my website marinajacobi.com and through my YouTube channel. And I have only PayPal platform, so if you ever wish to support me, is through PayPal, the way you wish to, monthly or whatever you wish to. I do not have any other platform. The reason why I have to make this announcement, because recently I had a situations that people are taking the material of quantum manifestation, that is personal property, and putting onto their platforms of different variations, and they were locking the quantum manifestation videos that I'm giving to the entire humanity for free, and they were charging money to Patreon, including connecting energy philanthropy with it. Energy philanthropy is nothing to do with charging money. Everybody that wants to support you through energy philanthropy comes from the heart. You know, I don't charge for my webinars, but I greatly appreciate your support. If you want to support me through PayPal, pays my bills. If you don't have anything, that's why I'm here. Energy philanthropy is not used in any platform that will ask you for money. So I cannot guarantee you, if you go to a different platform that is not direct with me, if it's not .com Marina Jacobi or my YouTube channel, that you will get even the authenticity of my material, because they can take the book and take off some of the most important stuff. That is the reason why I never published the book, because I had to be true to the material. The material is written in sentences and quantum structure. One word I have not changed. That's why sometimes in the sentence doesn't look okay to you, because I was not allowed to change it. It's a sequence of geometry structure that activates your body into 5D structure, plants the seed. That is why I can't guarantee anybody else that is downloading from different platforms. So, I had to take my sovereignty back. That's what they told me, to take my sovereignty. I must say that I was polite to the person. I was not rude. And I'm glad that that individual took the videos off the platform. Hopefully they're not in other places. And that's how I downloaded immediately from them. They told me, we want to tell you what's happening in the quantum structure when people do stuff like that. And that goes not only for money, that goes in any level. If you have a deception, if you, they told me there's no difference between white lie or a big lie or a small lie. Lie is a lie. The intention of the frequency vibration, what is very fundamental, because that's what is going to project in a quantum structure around you. And the material is a long material. I'm going to break it down. You're going to see it in the screen, and then I'm going to explain step by step so we understand. Also, they told me that more things will escalate for humanity. So anything that is basically all balance with you, if you're running on a harsh structure, if you keep doing, giving, sharing, anybody that is of the vibration of the harsh structure is going to pop up in your reality. So if I'm running on a harsh structure and the person decided to manipulate or decided to do something, those two separate. As you know, I'm always doing this. Let me see if this is better. So if this is me running on my harsh structure through the heart, that is a specific vibrational sequence. You guys know that, right, already? Now, if I have another human being that is, for example, manipulating, and the frequency vibration that is sending is completely different than mine. Different frequency. Remember the frequency that I was talking? That's frequency, and this is frequency. But my structure is completely different and a resonance with this person. So if this is happening here, because of different frequency vibration, if I'm, for example, 2 hertz, this person could be 1 hertz. Remember, this is only just to make the idea. That person is vibrating a completely different platform that is not matched with my resonance. And if it doesn't match with my resonance, a vibration of my, remember, this is all a hologram, but that person also is running in their own hologram. Remember, this person and me is 1, remember that, +1 equals, where is the 3? Right here, right in the middle, between those 3, those 2, that's the 3rd. Between my reality and his reality, I create a 3rd reality. But what's happening here? Because the person is not running on my platform that is obviously in the heart structure, you know, because that's how I choose to operate. And that person decided to manipulate or deceive. When this happens in my platform of reality, we created reality now, 3rd reality between each other, remember? And that becomes the center. That's the black hole now. This is all quantum structure. What's happening, I'm going to find out, or something is going to happen in my reality through probability of situations that this person is doing something. But how could that happen? And I will tell you the way it happened with me, how I found in the structure. Remember, is infinite of probabilities. How am I going to find out that this person is not running the program from the heart? The infinite happened. I went somewhere and somebody said to me, Marina, why don't you put your material on Patreon? And I don't know too much about Patreon, but when I listened to with my friend Susan, we realized that Patreon, you charging money for people, and that's not energy philanthropy. Energy philanthropy is anybody that wants to support me monthly, they can always go to PayPal and do it. And I appreciate for the people that really did that. So I have no right to ask for anything, because I know if I ask for anything, it doesn't matter if it's help money or anything, that is basically overtaking somebody's structure without letting them to choose to support me through the heart. And that's major. This is all quantum structure. So what happened, this person told me that, and I said, that's interesting. The next couple of days, I talked to another friend of mine that discussed with me how I can revamp my YouTube channel because it's too many. That was Nicole. Hi, Nicole, if you're watching. How I can fix my YouTube channel better, you know. And I left it at that. I came home because I was in vacation. We had a major webinar on the boat. Came home and somebody said something very nice to me on one of my videos. And I clicked there. I usually try to answer to people if I'm not that too busy. And all of a sudden I saw something around my video and it called support us in Patreon. So when I look into it, I realized that the person was using my private videos, logged them in, and was asking for money and including energy philanthropy with it. Well, then I realized that that was manipulation. So it doesn't matter, everything is fine, I've forgiven, everything is working, I took my sovereignty back in a nice way. So I let it be. But what happens here? I found out through synchronicity that the person was manipulating, because there's no way I'm gonna go to somebody's private Patreon. I have no reason to. But look at the synchronicity that happened through one person telling me, another person telling me, to the point that I end up in some video of mine that this is how I found out. Otherwise, I would never even think about it. The reason why this happened is because that person was running on a different platform that did not match the frequency from the heart. That is all quantum structure. If you keep running in the heart, anybody that is off balance with the heart structure through synchronicity and situation is going to pop up into your reality, and you're going to have a situation. And yet, once you come to this situation, remember the quantum structure, you choose to neutralize by forgiving, but take an action to get your sovereignty, to cover your borders, so no longer this continues. So that's why I have to make a public statement to let people know. And yet, I'm not going to go after the person in a vicious way, except I'm being attacked personally more. So anybody that has a situation that somebody's manipulating it, if you run in a quantum structure from the heart, I guarantee you through synchronicity, you're going to see the manipulation because it does not match the same frequency. If this is 1, this is 2, they don't match. We're simply talking a matching of energetic structure. If they don't match, it's going to pop up in your reality, because now in your platform, you see that something is basically off balance. You have to balance it. And to balance it, you got to neutralize it. Forgiveness, pull back. This is also quantum structure that we talk about it, that you got to forgive and move forward. So this is how they start explaining. So I'm giving you the overall. But what they also said to me, for specifically the person that is doing this, let's now go into what happens in a quantum structure for the person that is doing that. You saw what's happening into co-creation between my reality in the heart and the reality of the person that is doing that on purpose. Okay. Now we're gonna take the situation from the person's view that is not staying on the heart structure, and what's happening when we decide to manipulate. Remember, even if it's little lie, and if it's intentional, immediately imprints on the person's structure of the negativity. It's starting to resonate. Your whole structure is starting to resonate in a negative frequency, which is basically off balance with the heart structure. And then you're gonna start projecting situations that somebody like me or whoever that is gonna find this out. So let's now go, and what they said was that, let me just share a screen so I can show you a bit of the quantum structure. And they're talking about manipulation in the creation. The levels that you reach on in 0 point, stillness and singularity. We just talk about that. When you start doing everything from the heart, everything becomes singular momentum, one unit, one structure. Because you don't fluctuate so much from the realities. Remember, we had a fluctuating realities when you constantly fluctuating up and down. But if you are in the heart structure, you are basically staying in a momentum that when you start looping through the realities, it becomes a 0 point. So what you were saying, that we're the one, you're the vessel. Of course, we're the vessel, we're creating everything, and you literally building momentum with momentum, one after the other. And you're the quantum. Why the quantum? Because you're the entire structure. That's why we're the entire quantum. But they said contradiction is happening when you try to build momentums of giving through false pretense and not giving conditions to your momentum, and yet you choose to ask for singularity that creates in a lie. I literally have to read this a couple of times in order to get it, because their language sometimes is just so, advanced, the way they connect the words with together. So what they basically are saying, that when you start projecting with manipulation, basically to deceive the person, you know that you sneakily deceive the person, and it's totally premeditated, it's not a mistake. We make a mistake, you forgive, but if it's something that you premeditated, put it all together, and you're still trying to, pretend that, oh, this is in the name of humanity, and we're helping, but let me log these videos, let me do all this stuff. what's happening is absolute duality. You're splitting the structure with another one and becomes completely different person. Let me just make it more clear this way so you guys see exactly what's going on. So if this is you and you decided, for example, in a quantum structure to ask through the manipulation, of course you're starting to project that, but because it's all balanced with the harsh structure of the consciousness itself, remember, consciousness itself is in a harsh structure. There is no conditions there. That's why the manifestation is happening so much. And because consciousness now is projecting everywhere through the entire magma, harsh structure, so we can raise the frequency to 5th dimensional and above, because ascension process is happening through the entire universe, every single part of reality to infinite. Because of that, that person that end up doing some kind of a manipulation no longer resonates in that. So what's going to happen in this person because of that, it's starting to split up, in the next momentum when the person goes completely going to be in the negative, which no longer resonates with the 5D harsh structure. So for that person, synchronicity will happen to infinite. Remember that, to infinite, because you no longer resonate with the 5th dimensional structure, will no longer be able to co-create in a 5th dimensional structure. To that person, going to start having negative experiences in their hologram, the next momentum and momentum, that somebody, for example, like me, will find out through my synchronicity in the hologram, and the person eventually will not be able to sustain the structure. And what's happening from here, because I know the whole thing that they talk to me, what's happening from here, that person starting to fluctuate. Remember the fluctuation, up and down, up and down. And what's happening, 1 + 1 = 3. That person, what's happening here is starting to collapse his platforms of realities to the point that you end up in a negative 3rd structure, because the collapse is happening of the weight of the frequency that this person is constantly projecting, that is not resonating with the 5th dimensional structure, and because created a duality from the two structures. Duality happens when you project negative and is not balancing the frequency of the heart. And because consciousness is moving out to 5D, you're gonna start collapsing and collapsing, more problems and more problems and more problems is gonna start happening to you, to the point that the person is gonna create negative structure when something is gonna expand in his reality, and the person like me or you, if you're in a hard structure, will find out what they're doing, and it's gonna be very quickly. Because he collapsed to 0 point, the 3rd one is 0 point, but guess what? 0 point where? In a negative. Not in a positive from the heart. It went into the negative. So remember, when we talk positive, negative, and when we talk about fluctuating realities, and then we talk about latitude, altitude, if this is your entire quantum structure, and you know that over here is in a harsh structure, but over here is in the negative, this is all negative, X and Y, this is Y, and this is X. I am staying on a harsh structure because that's what I choose to be in a platform, and that person, through fluctuations of X and Y, end up going what? End up going in a negative structure, because he collapsed based on the frequency vibrations that are constantly coming in his own reality. So they said this is a false pretense of the fact that, you know, you're saying that it's in the name of humanity, and yet you know very well there is a deception. And when you do something like that, that does not become any longer one unit with the harsh structure of consciousness. And it's gonna throw you off orbit, and you're gonna end up in a negative holographic impression timeline. because of your action, because the frequency that you projected is not connected with the heart structure that consciousness is resonating on, because we are ascending. No longer will be allowed, because no longer you're matching the frequency from the heart. And that's what's happening in the quantum structure. So the next thing they said, let's go back to the rest. So what happened, they said, in the quantum structure in this moment is illusion and is false and is not unity single structure, the way we talk about not unity single structure, because no longer you're resonating with the heart structure. Because of that, you're spinning out of orbit. We discussed already how you're spinning out of orbit with the true vibration of the 0 point of the heart structure. We already discussed that. And everything collapses in a moment of singularity, but where? In the negative structure of singularity, not in a positive. I explained to you this through X and Y just 2 seconds ago. They said that all that in the person that is staying in the negative creates silhouettes of negative imprints in a holographic structure that is basically completely different reality with a 5th-dimensional structure. And that person is starting to loop in an illusion of realities, fluctuating realities for itself, and can't get out, because absolutely doesn't resonate with the 5th-dimensional anymore. And they say the moment are false, you plaster reality horizontal hologram, the way I just explained to you, switching so quickly but not collapsing, because they're fluctuating so fast and not being able to hold the proper frequency vibration of the heart, where all becomes singularity. So that person cannot even get into the frequency of the heart structure because of the way it's spinning. Remember, the fluctuation becomes so quick that the person is getting out of orbit with a 5th-dimensional heart structure. And now you're starting to imprint artificial structure, and you're running this program, and you're becoming in their own reality of singularity, but is no longer in the heart, becomes in the negative. And you can never see the positive outcomes if you continue doing this way. Why? Because consciousness itself is getting more and more and more frequency into the heart structure. The new resonance is becoming more and more in the heart. So they said, remember, you're the creator. So why, we ask you, you're still choosing to deceive each other in deception of monetary structure that are simply progression and trajectory of all systems of false evolution. Because remember, we talk about the money structure. We talk about the money, and they said, does it not hurt you when you are in need of help and yet someone is plastering a false price to your suffering? Do you not see that all is love, all is joy, and is sharing with no condition of false projections that create duality, that separates you from the heart? The love to self and preservation is fundamental, and yet you choose deception. You must wake up. We wish for you to understand that you're creating. So what do you wish to choose? Be love, be joy, be giving. And basically you mirror in the structure, because cannot become singularity unit with the heart if you cannot be, and you cannot be in a 0 point if you basically be in a negative structure. So now I know this was kind of a lot, but basically they were saying that we already discussed the money structure. We know that the money is a process of us collapsing the frequency between those two holographic impressions of 5th-dimensional and 3-dimensional structure to become a one unit, when we're starting to fluctuate realities to becoming a positive, where you can use the money structure, because consciousness is still running on the monitor. We can't move the money out at once. If you move the money out at once, we're going to collapse the whole structure. But you need to transition. That's why they talk about energy philanthropy, to start helping each other. When you donate or when you give to somebody, it's got to be completely you choosing from the heart, without anybody putting a condition on you, because at the moment they put a condition in your consciousness, they overtake in your free will. And then you're not going to be able to choose from your heart and learn to support and give. How are you going to learn to support and give and shift to 5D if you're constantly taking, and yet you're not supporting the people that giving everything? It has to be unity structure. And yet if you have nothing, that's why you're there. That's why I'm there. That's why Joe Pena is there. Because if you have nothing, I'm going to be the last person to take your $5 out of your plate. Because that information, this information that is given us, is for the entire humanity for free. And yet we can choose to support through the monetary if we wish to, if we have the sources for it. Because eventually through the platform of the money, we're going to build the eco-cities. Once we do that and the free energy comes in, eventually humanity will move to a utopia society. It's inevitable. But to plaster for a piece of paper to decide to help a person or not, that is a false pretense in a quantum structure. And we just talk about that. It's complete illusion. And you're recreating realities for yourself that completely in the negative structure, because no longer resonate with the heart of 5D and above structures, because consciousness sends waves of energetic fields through the entire magma of the universe, through every single holographic expression to infinite, including negative structure, including dense structures. So that's why everybody that is even in a 3D end up waking up, because you're starting to perceive codes into your DNA of a frequency to activate you to wake up and really start seeing that you are the source. And that is the reason all this stuff is happening. So anybody that is trying to manipulate, deceive, I'm in the name of humanity, but let me just, this is not a judgment upon anyone that is supporting themselves through the money. What they said to me to tell everyone is, if you are the main provider, get your job, do whatever you need to do, support your family, and yet in the meantime start interjecting the energy philanthropy through the heart by giving and sharing, because you want to override and start resonating in a heart structure. And what's going to happen, you're going to start fluctuating through the platform when 1 + 1 between the reality with the money and the heart is start collapsing. Is literally going to collapse. That's what the reality is doing. It's literally those two, between those two. Remember, if this is the 3D with the money and this is the heart structure, those two, when it start fluctuating, is going to do like this. Because what he's doing, all that is parallel of synchronicities, and they're collapsing to one unity structure, which is going to be in the heart, but through the money, until we get to those two are going to be coexisting with each other, the money and the heart. Look at the stuff, look at my platform, look at how I'm using it. Yes, thank you for your donations, but you know that if you have not a penny in your pocket, I'm going to be the last person to take it. Why? Because I don't want to give you I don't want to take your consciousness over. I want to give you from your free will, because if you donate from your free will, the vibrational sequence that you send me from the 5D structure. And that is the energy field that I want to resonate on. That is the reason why I'm doing this way, not because I don't live through the monetary structure. I do. I support my family with whatever donations comes in, to my kids and everything, but it's never through condition, because I'm using the structure. So if we realize that you go support your family, but in the meantime, start interjecting with the heart. Every day you go somewhere, you help somebody. If somebody doesn't have anything, you doctor, you lawyer, why not help somebody that has nothing just because? And when you start fluctuating, those two reality will collapse to 0 point in a new platform, which this platform is going to be in a 5D and above, because that is going to be the resonance between the two platforms of the monetary and the heart will collapse in unity singularity structure. That's how we collapse. All that, when starting collapse, all that collapse if you see, is a fractal. Reality for itself, reality for itself, reality for itself. All that is going to start through synchronicity until you get between those two. And this is what I'm doing. All that becomes a one singular structure. And yet I create my own platform, and that individual create their own platform. They have their own resonance now in their own three-dimensional structure through the deception. They're also collapsing there. You saw that. That's the 3D here. 3D collapse. But that is my collapse. Where is my collapse? My collapse in between those two, when I incorporate the money and the heart in one unit. But guess what? Because of that, where am I resonating on? I'm resonating fifth dimensional structure because I'm using from the heart structure. So you can include that in everyday life, support your family, get the job. Even if the job that you're getting is not really what you really love to do, give a gratitude, because the gratitude of the 0 point, you can say, thank you, job, even if I'm cleaning bathrooms, for giving me the opportunity and the platform so I can express the heart and start helping people. And what's going to happen, because you gave a gratitude, you neutralize the situation that at the moment you had some challenging time and you went and got a job no matter what you were doing, but with the nice intentions. That will give the platform for you to start resonating and create a heart structure reality. And between you cleaning toilets and helping everybody else at the same time, you're going to create a reality that all of a sudden you can start supporting yourself with no longer working and cleaning toilets, for example, but you're doing something else by helping humanity. Because you end up collapsing the structure between those two, you create 1 + 1 = 3, but you collapse it in a positive frequency, the heart structure. And that's why all of a sudden, all that with you struggling and doing all this stuff disappeared, because you end up creating a brand new reality. But guess what you did? You literally shifted from 3-dimensional to a 5-dimensional structure of outcomes. And this is the reason how you do it. And why is this happening? I just showed you 2 different timelines of reality. What happening in ones when you're in deception, what happening in ones when you're in the heart, the combination between those two, the collapse in the third, the collapse in the fifth, and the collapse between the two of them. And then in the end, we end up in a 5th-dimensional structure if you choose to stay in the heart. So don't feel bad if you have to go work and make money for your family, but you can start interjecting. Why am I saying interjecting? Because think of X and Y, latitude, altitude. I want you to move into the heart structure of the geometry. This is all quantum. All that is quantum structure. This is who you are. And if you learn how to do the modality and how to use it in a proper way through practicing, because what I do is practicing. I could have destroyed this person, and yet I chose to preserve it, respectfully asked to remove the videos, which thankfully the person did. And yet you're never gonna see me publicly viciously going and complaining about it, because I'm going in the heart, transforming, doing my boundaries, and I continue within the heart without hating this person, because everybody has a lesson to learn. Mine is to continue, forgive, and move forward. There was a video, stop, transform, and move on. That's what I'm trying to do. And yet I'm taking my sovereignty back, putting boundaries of what could be used, what could be not, and have to make a public statement. Why? So nobody end up being in the same situation through me, through my platform. So if we implement this in a daily life, I guarantee you your outcome is going to be in the heart, because now the new frequency that is coming from consciousness is bombarding the realities through infinite in the heart structure. So if you project it, if you stay on it, no matter how challenging it is, I guarantee you collapse of the structure into the 5D. Because the quantum is, since you're projecting, if you project it, goes into your structure. It will manifest, but the way it will manifest is depending on what type of frequency you were projecting moment to moment. So eventually what's going to happen to everybody that is in deception and everybody that is manipulating, oh, let me promote you, let me do this, but I will not distribute anything, whatever I make from you. This is a false pretense again. When somebody tells you, come to my place and I'm going to take you videos, I'm going to promote you, I'm going to tape you videos, they're going to be my properties, and yet I won't pay for you traveling, and I'm not even going to distribute for anything that you did. That is not unity structure. That is a deception by the false pretense that you're helping to get the person out there, and yet you're using everything out of this person. Why not support each other this way? So all that is by choosing. And the lesson is here, when we start doing this stuff, how well you choose to support somebody. Do you not see the deception here, guys? We have to really start interacting with each other and helping each other through the process. By the fact that we were taught in three-dimensional, oh, it's nothing personal, it's business, that was complete manipulation. What do you mean nothing is personal? By you taking away everything from that person until not taking from that person's life, family, and livelihood. Where did that go? What world are you living into? And why are we allowing this to continue? Remember, you have to take the action to see the heart structure. Because there's nobody outside of you. You projecting me because you are in a level that you want to learn about this. Otherwise, I would never come to your reality. That's why you're here, because you're ready. And yet you may listen to this video. Would you take an action in a daily basis? Because remember, the action, the thoughts, and the emotion is creating the hologram expression to expand into matter. You may think of it, but if you don't take an action, you never zap in that frequency hologram to expand to become a matter. You have to take an action.
The first question is coming from Bonnie. I'm going to unmute you, Bonnie, so you can ask directly.
Hi.
Hi, Bonnie.
Okay. Hi. So I have a question. I have a situation where somebody is using money as a way of manipulating me. And he's lying about it. And I want to know what, it took me a long time to wake up and see that I was being manipulated. I mean, years to wake up. But I want to know what happens to him. Does he...
That's a male, right? I see a male.
Yeah, if he keeps down this path, does he collapse monetarily or emotionally, or what happens?
They said that it's not your job to think if he collapses. Because you want to stay in a heart structure, not to wish for him something negative to happen. Because remember his projection. I'm just, I know you're not, I'm just explaining for everybody to understand. The way I explained to you the quantum structure here, that person, even if they think they're doing whatever, they're so clever, because by the old structure, this was clever, right? To deceive and to take over, you know, I'm clever businessman and you're the one that didn't get it, you know, so if you don't get it, that's not my fault, you know, which is absolute false. What's going to happen, that person in the old hologram of 3D, they're going to collapse itself. Remember this one that I was showing here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That person is going to reproject realities by looping structures non-stop, on and on and on. That person is going to start looping on and on and on and on of the same frequency that the person ended up projecting, and never get out in a fifth dimensional. Is going to collapse. And the outcome is going to be in the negative, because if its own deception does not hold value, it's basically a holographic imprint that is keep reprinting, and never moves forward. And eventually this person is going to have a negative outcome because it's no longer resonating. While you, if you stay in the heart, get your boundaries the way they taught me, basically take a legal action, no longer somebody else to do this to you. For example, you need to secure your names, you need to secure your business or whatever that is, in order no longer second person. To that person, you can say, I respectfully ask you to stop this. Could you please give me back? It's the wrong thing to do. And if the person says no, if you go after the person, who you going after?
Myself.
That's right. But if you stop transforming, move forward, because I move forward, I didn't say to this person, well, give me the money that you made on top of me. This is not the first time this happened. I had another person did that. And I have at least 200 people in webinars. I don't even know what money this person made on top of me. This happens several times for people that claiming that they're into the heart and they're in the name of humanity. That doesn't mean because they're spiritual teachers. What's happening, some of these people are getting it's so good to receive money when you're asking that all of a sudden you start resonating on money because you don't know any other way to manifest. You never practice to manifest from the heart. So you don't see it. It's ludicrous to you what I'm doing. And yet I'm proving to all of you that this works. Because none of you, when you donate, nobody's putting you and say, oh, in order for you to see this webinar now, you have to pay me $50. I'm never ever gonna say that because I know what I'm doing. So that person will collapse in its own weight of deception because of the frequency vibration. And because it's no longer resonating in a 5D that is consciousness moving forward. So if you go after the person, you're gonna go after yourself and you're gonna start activating frequency from that resonance. But if you cover your borders, learn from the lesson, move forward, so no longer second person or whatever try to do that there, because you're gonna have this stuff. It's very challenging. Even the people that are in spiritual, they may get greedy because of tough situations, and they don't know how to plaster that. That could be in any level. Don't think because it's a spiritual, they're the most tough. I work every day for whatever I do. Every day when I have sessions, I don't know who is donating, who is not. If they donate, I'm grateful, even if it's $5, because it goes through my kids. And yet, I write a heart and a flower. If I open the book, you're going to see heart flower to everybody, because I want to off-disengage with the illusion of the money, so I don't get angry. And I'm training myself every day. It always flies, always comes and comes and comes from somewhere. Because if I hold the vibration from the heart, when I need something, it's gonna manifest for me. If it's not from this person, from the another. We discussed that. So if you move forward, I guarantee you eventually things will happen that in his reality, something will happen. We don't know how, because again, it's infinite, right?
Yeah.
So what are you choosing to do from here?
Several ties, because he holds me back.
Yes, sweetheart, it holds you back because by you reprinting and engaging with his hologram, you're reprinting the frequency back to your own unit. You're grabbing frequency from his hologram, coming into your hologram, and you cannot get out of it.
Well, how do I get out of it?
When you let go and move forward, get your sovereignty by no longer allowing somebody else to do this to you. Maybe you need to do legal stuff somewhere so nobody's using the material or your house or whatever that is. You have to get your sovereignty back.
Okay. I'll have to think about what that means for me, but okay.
Well, it depends of the situation. When I went, I didn't go legally after this person. I asked for the person to remove it. If he didn't remove it, I knew that if he didn't remove it, I said, oh my God, even if one person discovers my video, that person got the information, because that person is the entire structure. But I would move forward because I didn't want it to reproject the same frequency, and I let it be. Next time, what I did is I fixed my videos, I fixed my YouTube channel, I end up making a public appearance and announcement for that. So this is how I got my border around. So I would not allow second time just to happen.
Right. But as far as him, it won't keep imprinting with him if I just sever ties. I have to worry about it imprinting on me for the future.
No, you're talking about the personal situation, you're talking about the hologram.
Yeah. The personal situation.
So you have to be specific so I can give you more info on it. Or you wish to be specific or not, that's up to you. How about you talk to me and stay after the webinar, and I'll talk to you for 5-10 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. I can do that. Yes, thank you.
Okay, I understand. No problem. I'll help you. So let her stay on after the webinar here when you get everybody, so I can at least talk to her a bit.
Okay, will do. All right, there's a question that was asked by Lucy. Mm-hmm. If I'm making a product, I have to purchase the materials and also take time to make it. So how does donation work in this situation? Although also the job, we have to follow our heart and our passion to do a job that we love. What about the self-employed? We have to make a living through donation. I've been experiencing these conflicts in my daily life. I do give from my heart, but we have to make a living by asking the basic charge for a service.
That was a very good question. They had a lot of questions, and this is what they said. If you're the main provider, you charge whatever you need to charge for your services. After you pay your bills, they said to me, after you pay your bills, you pay your bills, you have enough, and now start helping anybody that comes after that. So you can start resonating in a heart structure. And after you start resonating the heart structure and you do it more and more and more, then you're going to start collapsing the realities, and your reality is going to become more resonance and more resonance and more resonance in the heart structure. And eventually you're going to have expansion that all of a sudden through synchronicity, somebody going to say something, and you're going to find yourself in a situation that you can start supporting yourself through the platform of energy philanthropy. Those two realities will collapse with each other. You don't jump the way I did because I had them teaching me and talking to me without anything in my hands. I know that this is possible. But not everybody will be able to do it the way I did. So that's the reason they said, if you are the main provider, charge for your money, do whatever you need to do. Once you pay the bills, start giving from the heart by letting people choose what to support you and how much. And even if they don't, hold the vibration by keep giving, because eventually if that person doesn't, next person will. Don't get me wrong, you may have somebody that will try to use you, but you're gonna know when you see person coming second time, third time, and they don't even distribute $5 to you, you know that they're using you. Well, person like this is how I'm gonna put the boundaries. Not because it's about the money, it's because I know that there's no way in 5 months you don't have $5 to donate to somebody's work. When they take in everything from themselves for free for you, and they also have a family to support, that is using. I will put the boundaries to that, because I've seen several times, things happen, but you learn through the process. So support yourself. Once you support yourself and ask for the money, because remember, we use it also the monetary until we collapse the structure to abundance. But when I start doing it, I help. You charge your money, do whatever you need to do to support your family. After you pay all your bills and you had enough, after you have enough food in the table and in the fridge, now that the rest, why not start helping? Maybe every week I help somebody for free, maybe 2 people. You go somewhere, you're going to help somebody just like that. You're a doctor, and if somebody wants advice, what are you going to say? Oh, come to me after you pay the bills. Why not just help the person that is in the store? Anything you can do. In any shape and form. Your help could be in any shape and form. And eventually, when you start intentionally doing it and make it like a business for yourself to constantly helping, what you pay the money, for example, for the week, and you make, for example, commitment every week to help 5 people just like that after you pay your bills. What's going to happen? You're going to start projecting this resonance in your frequency, and I guarantee you eventually you're going to see something that is going to happen in your platform to show you the path to complete abundance. And what's going to happen is more and more and more is going to be of that, and you're going to realize that you've been projecting constantly in the heart structure. Because anybody that is going to start coming towards you now is going to be based on that. You're going to start fluctuating. Monetary money, monetary abundance, and it's going to be a beautiful coexistence. When people give you, is going to be from the heart structure, but remember, that is completely different resonance. And this is how you're going to collapse the 2 realities of full abundance, which could be in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever you need to do. But that is going to create a platform for your reality in your hologram abundance, infinite of probability how this would happen. As long as you made a commitment every week after you pay all your bills, whatever you love to do, to start helping without asking for the money. If people decide to donate, let it be from their heart to support you, but let it just be. Train yourself just to give, because the vibration is different. You have to train yourself. You have to physically train yourself to do it, because I did it. When they asked me, I thought this was ludicrous until they start telling me, no, stay, and start teaching me the structure. Because somebody told me, well, you have to respect yourself and you have to charge for your services other people, because people will not respect you. That is a false illusion of 3-dimensional thinking. That is not the case. Because when you start projecting from the heart, eventually you create. It took me 2 years until they told me, Marina, you did it. It was like explosion of abundance of people coming in, to the point that, remember, I had to take August off, because I had so many people that I said, oh my God, this is how I also put the boundaries. I knew that if I do more than 3 people a day, and it's not half an hour, I have to do half an hour, 3 people a day. Because it was becoming, I don't talk simple stuff. Look at what I'm discussing here. This is constant concentration. So I knew how much it's going to take, what it's going to take from me, because when I do this, guys, I enjoy when I do my sessions. I'm not in pressure. And I start trusting that I will be able to support my kids, because believe me, through the donations of people, I support my children. Believe me, but it happens so beautifully. So when the person comes to you, is no more pressure. You feel like you're talking to friends, and when you exchange something, if they give you money, nobody had the pressure. And it's a different exchange. You're gonna feel differently, I promise you. I'm talking just from experience. You have to collapse the structures by abundance when you act upon it. In the meantime, if you have to charge, if you have to do your business, if you have a business, you do your business, but make a commitment Saturday, Sunday to do something specifically to start resonating from the heart. Does that make sense?
All right. Lucy, if it made sense for you, please comment. Give us any feedback that you have in the chat. There's a question that relates to the one that Bonnie had, because you were making reference to collapse. So Christine's follow-up question to that was, is the time of one's collapse or return proportional to the amount of time one holds the heart vibration?
Very good question.
All right, Christine.
Yes, it's gonna mimic. Whatever you project from the heart is going to mimic in your quantum structure. is going to be a mirror image, literally, of the same vibrational sequence. The only thing that could get a little bit confusing for us when we learning the quantum structure is the infinite. You don't know where it's going to come, who is going to give it. If I keep projecting, giving, I don't know where that reflection is going to come back when I need it. I don't know if it's going to be Lucy or Joe Pena or somebody else, or somebody simply bought something and gave it to me. You know, this is infinite. That is a little bit the confusion with everybody, but was the confusion with me too, until I've learned to leave everything open and just enjoying helping and trust that the structure is going to provide for me. There's no way if I projected it not to come back to me, but I don't know where it's going to come back. Thank you for your question.
Marina, we are at the top of the hour, and there is one question that is unrelated to this topic that was asked by someone who didn't get a chance to ask a question when we did our first episode 7. So are you open to something unrelated, or would you just like to wait for another?
No, I'm open. That's okay.
Okay. Do nightmares affect us emotionally in our reality? Most of my dreams are scary, where people are trying to kill, hurt me. I'm also wondering if it's because I did a lot of bad things in my past life. Now, this is Sion, and that was the question that he asked.
You had agreements to different structures. I think I've talked to you already about that. I'm not sure if it was you, but if you cannot control the momentums with the situations that's happening to you, you have to go to a deep hypnosis with somebody that is very, very good with that to help you through the process to connect with your higher self. If you do lucid dreaming, or if you do out of body, there's a couple of people that are creating a group right now that one of them helps with attached entities. I'm not expert on attached entities. I don't get information for that. But that person is. So if anything like this is the situation with you, I can give you a connection. So you guys can start gather to help with that. But no, the answer is it was agreements, and do not put fear, dear one. Help is in a way. That's why you're here. That's what they said. So email me on my personal email, Marina harmonicreactor@gmail, and I will give you the connection with that person.
There was a comment that was sent by Star Langford. She says, "Hello, Marina and Joe. Today's transmission is exactly in direct response to my asking to challenge a core way of being." Star. In other words, there's a bit of synchronicity for Star. I think that's her way of saying thank you. Matter of fact, she did say thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. It's 3 minutes after the hour. Marina, I don't have any other questions for the moment. And other than a couple thank yous.
Oh, thank you very much. I know you guys end up donating. A couple of people donated. I can't look at it right now, but I want to really appreciate your gifts. Thank you so much for your support. Me and Joe Penn, I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. And let Bonnie stay on.
Before I do, Rachel asks, when will Marina be back?
March 2nd, 1 p.m. That is going to be predictions. We have stuff predictions. Again, it's going to be predictions and Q&A. You know how that goes.
So you predict you're going to be here March 2nd? Okay. Well, look, we're going to keep Bonnie on the call, but I still want to give everybody a chance to say goodbye and thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, guys.
Seems right. So give me a sec.
Thank you,
Marina.
Thank you, Marina. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Joe and Marina. Thank you.
Joining us.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys,
Thank you.
Bye.
thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, Marina.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody's been muted. I have to wait until I see that everybody has been dropped off the call and only Bonnie remains. I won't reinitiate the audio until that happens. So thank you for joining us. We're going to be back on March 2nd. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Okay. I'm still hanging on until everybody drops off. Wolfgang, I don't know where you're from, but I love that beard. Way to go. All right. We'll see you next time. Okay. I've unmuted everybody. Wolfgang, you're a tough cookie. You don't want to leave, do you?
No, I cannot offer so. Hi, Marina. Obviously. I'm from South Africa, actually.
Are you from Africa? Very nice. Okay.
Very nice.